Hello, 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 and welcome to the very first episode of the J&J podcast. Me and Jackson have a pretty good conversation today. We got a little bit to talk about the MVP race, some players that are standing out very well right now, the standings, the playoffs coming up. So it's a pretty tight MVP race, a lot of conversations to be had. So let's get started. And Jackson, what are your opinions on the MVP race?
Well, I think this year has been a very good year in terms of competition of all teams, all the players. This is probably one of the most tightest races for the MVP race. There's 6 people that are averaging 30 points right now a game. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be Embiid taking it home. I just feel like he's stood out more. He's helping his team win. Obviously, Giannis and Jokic are doing the same thing, but they have recently won the MVP before. So I think that Embiid definitely has an upper hand on him. He's also just winning for him. He's making plays. So
yeah, I definitely think like Jokic's like single game performance stats like are a little more like impressive, like filling the stat sheet. Because, you know, in his best performances in his last 10 games, you got Jokic with like 37, 11, 11, and 3, 35, 20, 11, 2 steals, 2 blocks, like 31, 12, 7, and 3 steals. Like those are crazy performances. But like, yeah, Embiid on a nightly basis is just putting up a lot more points. And as well as the 76ers being 9-1 in their last 10 games. Mm-hmm. Like they only lost to the Bulls in their last game. It's definitely putting Embiid like skyrocketing him past Jokic. Giannis, like he's in the conversation, but I feel like at this point it's pretty much just Jokic and Embiid.
Yeah, I think Embiid should win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do one of those, they're the 1 seed, they're gonna win it, because the Bucks and the Nuggets are the 1 seed in their respective conferences. But the 49ers the 76ers are only 3 games behind the Bucks. So there's not a lot of room for Giannis if he really wants to take home that MVP.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the voter fatigue is going to come into play with Jokic obviously getting the last 2 MVPs. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, I actually think when I was looking at the standings and looking at how people will finish, I think the 76ers will actually finish with a higher record than the Nuggets. Just because, like, at the moment, I believe the 76ers are 1 game ahead because they are 49-23, and the Nuggets are 49-24. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games with some bad losses to teams like the Spurs, the Bulls, and the Raptors. Not a lot of great wins either. They only beat Memphis without Ja, and they beat Brooklyn as well, which is obviously not nearly as good as they were. Mm-hmm. But I think Jokic, like, I don't think he's gonna win it this year, and I don't know if he should. Like, he's averaging almost a triple-double, which is insane. Like, and it makes me really mad when people say that he's like a stat pattern, because he's not. Yeah. Like, he's just unbelievable. Like he has crazy plus minus numbers. I believe when I was looking at the box scores, he had a plus minus of like plus 28, and like he's shooting 65%.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I think another reason why Giannis shouldn't win is because he's been out for some time. He had was it a calf injury?
I believe so. It was something. Like
he had some injury around the All-Star break. Came back. I mean, he's Giannis. He's going to play good. But I just think that Embiid has the upper hand on the 2. And I just believe that he should take it home. So
something interesting as well is, like, Giannis, when he was out, the Bucks didn't really take, like, a decrease. Like, they were about the same record-wise. They were almost winning more, it seemed like.
I think when Giannis isn't playing, I think they almost play their best type of basketball. Because I think Brooke Lopez, like Drew Holiday plays good. I mean, he's just a good point guard in general. But those two really take over on that team when Giannis is not playing. They definitely know that they need to take the leadership role when he's not playing. So
as well as like they have a lot of depth as well.
Yeah.
Like
Chris Middleton's coming off the bench.
Middleton, yeah. I think recently he started starting more. I'm not sure though. I think he did. And then they also got like Bobby Portis averages a double off the bench, which is insane.
Grayson Allen, but I mean nobody likes Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen's not our favorite. And then there was Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
Just a crazy rebounder for a guard. He just randomly gets like 8 rebounds in a game, which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I think it's definitely a tight MVP race. Embiid just recently, for the first time, is at the front of it, and it's definitely gonna be interesting to see in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from the MVP race, we obviously are nearing the end of the season here, and we got some playoff predictions to share with all you guys. Currently, if the playoffs were to start today, we would have the Hawks, Raptors, Bulls, and Heat inside of the play-in tournament in the East, and we would also have the Tims, Thunder, Mavs, and Lakers in the playoff tournament in the West. So we'd like to talk to you about our predictions for those matchups, as well as some of the other matchups right now for the playoffs.
Well, obviously the play-in tournament is still a new thing. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th season. Obviously, I mean, I'm kind of iffy about it still. You know, the Pacers have been in it a couple times, and I'm a Pacers fan, and we get put at the 8th spot every time just because we win the play-in tournament, and it's just kind of, I don't like it. But now that the Pacers aren't playing in the play-in tournament, if it was today, I think the play-in tournament, if it started now, it'd be like great matchups. Heat, Hawks, those are two great teams, two teams that have their ups and downs, but the Heat are a great defensive team. They got Jimmy Butler, who's great in the playoffs sometimes. We got the Hawks. They got two great guards, two young guards, and they got a couple young talents that can help them. And out in the West, there's great matchups. I think a sleeper team for the West could be the Thunder, but I think it's a little too competitive right now to tell. The 7 and 8 would be the Timberwolves and the Thunder and the Mavs and Lakers at the 9 and 10. And right now, I don't know what could happen. The Thunder are still without Chet. The Timberwolves now just got Cat back. The Mavs are, I think they're on the come up just because they still have to work in with Kyrie. And the Lakers, I think they're playing fine with how they're doing without LeBron. They got a new player. Austin Reeves is playing absolutely great for them. He is taking the point guard role to another level for them. And I think he has a lot of potential. So,
as of right now, I'd say the Raptors Bulls is definitely one to look at because that would be a very, very good defensive matchup. First of all, because obviously DeMar DeRozan, great defender, and the Raptors' interior defense is actually very good as well. And then Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, two guys that can go off anytime, any game. Pascal Siakam has done it before, championship under his belt, obviously. That's very interesting to look at in the East. Pacers and Wizards are on obviously on the bubble there on the outside, looking in. I don't think either of those teams are going to end up making it, but it's definitely interesting to look at. And then, as well as you said, the Timberwolves versus the Thunder could be a very good game with how well Jalen Williams has been playing. Someone we're going to talk about later in the episode, possibly the Rookie of the Year, but maybe
I don't know about that, but I think he's definitely a top 3.
He's up there. He's making a case for himself for sure at the very minimum. And then the Timberwolves, they had a lot of expectations coming into the season. Gobert coming in, getting a huge contract, And then Anthony Edwards obviously playing his best year. So we're looking at that team. That's definitely one to look at. I don't think the Mavs are still going to be in that 9 seed by the end of the year, especially if they can keep Kyrie playing, which is definitely extremely hard to do. And moving on from the current standings, I'd like to hear a little bit about what you have to say about the future of what's going to happen here, a little bit of our playoff predictions. I'd say it's a closer race inside of the West and rather than the East, because obviously some of the teams on the bubble aren't really going to do much damage in the playoffs, whereas it's varying in the West as to who's going to do what. So let's hear a little bit what you have to say about the East.
Well, I think the Bucks have the 1 seed, the Celtics have the 2nd seed. Actually, it's kind of close, but I think the 76ers will probably stay the same at 3rd. We got the Cavs at the 4th seed, and I'm kind of varying between where the Knicks will end up, where the Heat will end up, where the Nets will end up, but I think the Nets will probably take the 5th seed, and the Knicks will drop to the 6th. I think the Heat are just right there with them. And I think they'll probably be in the play-in. So I see them taking the 7th seed, playing the Celtics. And then I got the Raptors beating the Bulls for the 9 and 10, and then they play the Hawks. And I think the Raptors take that 8th seed and play the Bucks. But so we're talking about the Bucks and the Raptors. For me, I think it's gonna be the Bucks. Obviously, just an all-around better team. They got Giannis, superstar. They're probably taking that game in 4. Let's be honest.
I think they may take one inside of just because the entire country of Canada comes to the Raptors playoff games. I feel like winning 2 games on the road may be tough. But I could definitely see that.
And then talking about what I think will be the 2 and 7 seed, I think that'll be surprisingly a good series. I think the Celtics they're a good team, but they can somewhat be inconsistent. So can every other team can. I just see the Celtics taking it in 5. I think the Heat have experience, the Celtics have experience, but I think the Celtics are just the overall better team. For this 3 and 6 matchup, it would be the Sixers and the Knicks, which I think would probably be the best series in the East, in my opinion. I think both teams are pretty good.
You say Sixers Knicks?
Yeah.
Oh, Sixers Nets. Sixers Nets.
No, Sixers Nets. Knicks will be 6 seed.
Oh, you think this?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think the Nets will probably jump up. I just feel like Mikal's playing so good. They're just playing all around good basketball. Their chemistry is really good right now. So yeah, I think the Knicks will be the 6th seed and the 3rd seed will be the 76ers. I think that's a good series. I just feel like Embiid will dominate the Knicks. Who they got on him? Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
it's not gonna go well. I think it'll be fun to watch, close games here and there. I just think the Knicks will take it. Or not the Knicks, the 76ers. They'll take it easily, probably in 5. I do think they'll take one in Madison Square. And then the Knicks and the Nets, or the Cavs and the Nets, 4 and 5 seed would be pretty good. I just think that the Cavs will take that. They got all around more talent. I just see them taking it in probably 6. I think they'll take them to 6 just because I think Mikal Bridges is just playing really good right now. And if he keeps playing like he is, they could probably take it to 6. So what do you think about the East?
So I went through and I did my predictions here. So I have the Bucks winning first place by I think about 2-3 games. They should be fine. And then I actually had the Sixers jumping up ahead of the Celtics because at the end of the season here, Sixers have just been so hot, and they're they just haven't played as many games as the Celtics right now, but I believe that if they tie them, they have the tiebreaker as of right now. So I think the Sixers will jump up, get that 2 seed. Celtics in the 3 seed. Cavs are 3 games behind the Sixers and the Celtics right now. I don't think they're going to be able to make up that ground with, I think, like 10 games left. They just won't be able to do all that. Knicks are going to stay, I think. I think Nets are going to stay, but the Heat are going to make a push for that 6th seed.
Yeah.
They definitely will. They've been playing great. 7-3 in their last 10 games. 7-3. And the Hawks, I think, will get that 8th seed, as well as Raptors 9, Bulls 10th, Wizards 11th, Pacers 12th. We're not really talking about the Magic, but Magic are going to be in that 13 seed. They may actually come close to the Pacers, closer than we think. My play-in tournament-wise, I think I have the Heat winning pretty handily against the Hawks. It should be good. Bulls-Raptors will be a solid game as well, but I think I'm going to go with the Raptors in that. The Bulls can put on a fight. It just depends which Bulls we get. So we really don't know which Bulls are going to show up every single night. If Zach LaVine's going to drop 30, or if DeMar DeRozan's going to drop 30. Like, if they're playing like that, they definitely give their team a great chance to win. But I think I'm going to take the Raptors. And I think Trae Young, playoff implications on the line, I think that the Hawks are actually going to take it. I think the Hawks will grab that 8 seed. So we won't see a change here. We won't see the 9-10 swap. But as far as Bucks-Hawks go, not much of a series in my opinion.
Yeah.
On paper, the Hawks looked like a great team this year. They haven't been a great team. Probably a 4-game series, maybe 5 games. Trae Young, he's a great player. Could have one of his ice Trae games, but we don't know. Sixers versus Heat, that's going to be a great series. Especially with the way the Heat have been playing and the way Jimmy Butler's been playing. That could be a surprising one, and it could give the Sixers trouble. But in the end, I think Sixers will be fine. They'll win that game. Probably, I think maybe 6 games. Could be 5. I don't think it's going to go to 7. Shouldn't go to 7. And then moving on, we got Celtics versus Nets. Celtics, that's going to be a tough matchup for the Nets. Actually, the other week, the Celtics played the Nets, and the Celtics were up by about 28 points, I think, something like that. And the Nets came all the way back and actually won. So, they can't get behind in playoff games like that because it's just not, they're not going to be able to make up that ground. And I don't think they will, but the Nets definitely they're going to put up a fight. 6-ish game series, maybe 5, maybe 6. Don't think it's going to 7 as well. And then Cavs, Knicks, that'll be a great matchup. That'll be very fun to watch. I'd pay to see that game at all of them, and I think that could be a 6 to 7 game series right there. That could be a really good one. Donovan Mitchell, been in the playoffs, a lot of experience. We'll have to see from Darius Garland because he just hasn't been there yet. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, not a lot of playoff experience. And the Knicks, Knicks made the playoffs a couple of years ago. Jalen Brunson had a great run last year. We'll see if he can do it again. But the Knicks have a little bit of experience, not that much though, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think what breaks it between the other teams and the Hawks is Trae Young. I think Trae Young's I'm not a big fan of Trae Young. I think he's just a little too inconsistent for me. But what I do like about him is he can facilitate if he knows he's not playing good. But I do not see them making it out of the plan.
Okay, I get that. As well as DeJounte Murray doesn't have any playoff experience either yet, so that could be something to watch as well. But it'll be some good East matchups, some blowouts, but let's move on to the West because this is what is really the fun part of this. This is the exciting matchups. It's going to be crazy the whole way through.
Yeah, this should be a good Western Conference playoffs. Just everything. It could be we could be totally wrong with our predictions, but it's gonna be wild these last couple weeks, especially with a full month of basketball left to play. But I do see the Nuggets still staying at the 1 seed. I just feel like they're the best team in the West. I think there's no way unless some crazy injury happens and they lose that seed. Another team for the 2nd seed, I think Memphis takes that easily. There's not much competition between the 1 and 3rd seed right now. And then I have the Kings staying at the 3rd seed, which is crazy. After the Tyrese Halliburton trade, they send that point guard to the Pacers, who, I mean, he's playing great, but they trade away their best player, DeMontis, to the Kings, and now he's playing, I mean, almost as better as he was on the Pacers.
he's putting up crazy numbers,
and
triple-double numbers.
What he didn't have in Indiana was a star point guard with him, and that's De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is playing out of his mind. We've been watching a lot of Kings games lately.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen a lot of flashes of that duo pretty good. And it's just if they can stay consistent, it would be good. But I don't know about them. I'm kind of iffy about them as well. I think with the 4 and the 12 seeds right now, between those teams, it could be literally anybody. But I would probably have to rule out the Jazz, the Pelicans, and the Trailblazers. I think those 3 teams are good, but I don't think they're good enough for the play-in. As much as I like them, but I just don't see them getting there. So I'll just rule those guys out. But the 4th seed and the 5th seed, it could be literally anything. I think the Suns are. I think their Suns are playing good, but I just don't know where they could end. I think the Warriors are playing really good right now, especially since Curry's back. And I think the Warriors jump up to that 4th seed and play the Suns at the 5th seed, which would be an insane matchup. And then obviously the Clippers, they have Kawhi and PG. They have Russell now, but PG got injured, so they could definitely lose a couple games and drop down to the play-in tournament, which could be interesting. But I do think they hold on and stay in the playoff contention, except or like not the play-in. So I think they probably get that 6th seed and they play the Kings. So now for the play-in, which could be the best. But I think the 7th seed will be the Mavs. I think the Mavs will take it. I think they'll be fine. And that's going to be a good matchup, whoever they play. Literally whatever. And then I think the 8th seed, as much as I like the Timberwolves and the Thunder, I think the Lakers will probably take it. LeBron's coming back. They have news that just came out today that he could return in the last week of the regular season. So I think they take that 8th seed. Austin Reeves is playing good. AD's playing good. If AD can stay healthy, that's a plus. But yeah, I think that'll be a good playoff for the West, and it could be literally anything. I think Nuggets take it to 6 games with the Lakers. I think LeBron's just too good, but I think the Nuggets do take it in 6. Memphis versus who I have? I had the Mavs. The Memphis Mavs.
Well, that would be a great series.
I don't know, honestly. I think that could go anywhere. I honestly, Mavs in 7. Mavs in 7.
The 7th seed, huh?
The Cinderella run coming. The 3rd and the 6th seed, the Clippers versus the Kings. I think the Kings are kind of iffy. I don't really know. I'm gonna talk about them more in this episode, but I just don't know. I think the Kings probably take it, but it would probably have to go into 7 for me to say that they take it. And then the 4th and 5th seed would be crazy matchup: Warriors versus Suns. I don't know. I think it's a good matchup, but I do see the Suns taking it. I think nobody on that Warriors team can stop Kevin Durant. especially if he's healthy. So yeah, what do you think?
So I'm gonna get my first few out of the way. I got Nuggets as the 1 seed, Memphis 2 seed. I think the Kings stay the 3 seed, and as well as I think the Suns will stay the 4 seed. But the Warriors are gonna creep up. They're starting to figure out how to win on the road, and I have them finishing 43 and 39. Then I got the Mavs actually in the 6th seed. I think they can figure things out. If they can get Kyrie to play, as I mentioned earlier, Kyrie doesn't like to play. But I have them finishing 42 and 40. And then here is where it gets very interesting. I basically have 4 teams in a toss-up for the next 4 seeds because I have them all going 41 and 41, which is crazy. And, I mean, obviously the odds of that actually happening aren't super high, but I looked at who they're playing, and this is just what I found. I mean, all 41 and 41. The Clippers are 6 and 11 this year without Paul George, which is not great at all. He got hurt at probably the worst time possible. So I actually have the Clippers ending up as my 10 seed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Lakers is the 9 seed, Thunder is the 8, and Wolves as the 7 seed. Something interesting to look out for again, Zion Williamson coming back for the Pelicans soon. If he can come and play the last 3-4 games down the stretch, that could be very interesting. Could help them a lot. I don't know if they'll make it still. They will probably still be on the outside. I have them finishing. Me looking to see like when Zion will come back, his probability. I took that into account when making the record. I have them 40 and 42. So just looking outside of the playoffs, if they can get a big win, because I think they do have a tough schedule, they can maybe make the playoffs, but I don't know. Jazz have a very hard schedule. I have them finishing 38 and 44, so that's going to be tough. They had a great year, exceeded everyone's expectations, but I just don't think it makes any sense for them to put everything on the line and make it as the 8 seed at best. Like, there's no point. At this point, they're probably just going to take their draft pick. They did a great job. They have a star in Markkanen, an all-star starter, which is crazy.
Who would have thought?
I know. He had a great first year, but after that, it didn't look great for him. But my play-in tournament in the West, Clippers versus Lakers, that would be crazy. That's a crazy first game.
It's literally home court advantage for
yeah,
teams.
yeah.
So.
If that was a series, that would be insane.
Yeah.
But if Paul George comes back, as well as LeBron, which I think they both probably will, that'll be an amazing game. Because Clippers, if they're healthy, I think would have ended up as the 5 or the 6 seed. I mean, they would have been up there. Lakers, I'm not so sure. I know they're playing great. They've been doing great, but it's partially because LeBron has been out.
Yeah.
Because it's just been these new guys have been emerging, and like the other guys on their team are taking bigger roles, and it's really good to see. Anthony Davis playing great basketball, but I got Lakers winning that. Wolves versus Thunder. I think the Thunder are so inexperienced. And the Wolves just, like last year, it really looked like they were turning the corner. Like they got that play-in win. Pat Bev walked off like he was an NBA champion. But I think I have the Wolves winning that game. And then Thunder versus Lakers. Lakers are going to win that. Lakers is my 8 seed. So Nuggets, Lakers, crazy series.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's going to be a great series. I have the Nuggets. Nuggets probably in 6. Lakers could give them trouble. Don't get me wrong. That's not going to be easy by any means. But Memphis versus, I believe, T-Wolves. Yeah, Memphis versus T-Wolves. I think I'm gonna get Memphis in about 6 there. Memphis 6, maybe 5. I know the Wolves are good, but
I would say 5 if that was the matchup.
It's not going to be a great series. Like the Wolves are still emerging. They're coming into their own. They're going to be good soon, but not quite there yet. And then Mavs versus Kings. That's a tough series. That's tough because the Mavs obviously last year made a great run, got to the conference finals. And Luka's going to do everything he can to do it again. He'll probably have ridiculous numbers. And the Kings have never been here before, so I don't know what to expect playoff-wise. I don't know how good De'Aaron Fox is in the playoffs. The only time I saw Sabonis in the playoffs was when he was a bench player for the Pacers at the time. He was coming he was our sixth man.
Well, he was in the play-in.
I remember that. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
the plan.
Yeah, it
playing
wasn't
Charlotte.
great. Yeah, wasn't great. As our star, we got swept by the Heat, so that wasn't fun. But Sabonis will probably be consistent. I can't see anybody on the Mavs stopping him. He'll probably get crazy numbers, like rebounding wise. He'll probably there's not a lot of great defenders on the Mavs in general, so he'll probably get some points. De'Aaron Fox, he's new to the playoffs. Don't know how he's going to shoot. Don't know how he's going to play. He'll probably play the best he can, and he's been going crazy lately. I mean, like 30 points a game, something I've never seen before out of him. And the Kings have a lot of secondary scorers they could go to as well. Like Malik Monk, yeah. Keegan Murray's been stepping up a lot lately. A lot of just even Harrison Barnes sometimes can get. He can put up 20. Like, he can do something like that. Kevin Huerter, they're all good players, all good side pieces to have inside the playoffs. Kings will probably take that in 6 or 7. That'll be a great series. And then Suns, Warriors will probably be a 7-game series. And depending if Kevin Durant comes back, that's going to be insane. I really don't know. I'd like to say I'd take the Warriors, but I don't know if I trust them winning in Phoenix. And it could just come down to the fact that the Suns have home court advantage for more games than the Warriors.
Yeah.
So I may take the Suns there. If Kevin Durant's healthy, I have the Suns. If Kevin Durant's not healthy, I have the Warriors. Moving on from our playoff predictions here, we got a couple hot teams, a couple hot players that we'd like to mention, give their credit. I'll hand it over to you. You got the first 2 here.
Well, obviously, we got a crazy matchup that could happen in the West and the Thunder and the Timberwolves right now. But the Thunder are very inexperienced, but they are making a run for it. Jalen Williams is playing insane right now. He is averaging like 5 rebounds or 6 rebounds a game. He is just amazing for what he's doing right now. Shea's playing good. They're just an overall really good team right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and I see a lot of potential in them in the next coming years. I also see a lot of potential in the Cavs. The Cavs are doing really well. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games. Cavs are the best in defensive rating in the whole entire league. Their offensive rating is 9th in the league. But I think the Cavs are very guard heavy. They got 3 guards, Caris LeVert, Donovan, and Darius. But, that's the only thing I could see them stopping is because they're very turnover heavy and guard heavy. They average 12.6 turnovers a game, which is 5th in the league, which is kind of iffy.
Yeah, it could definitely be a problem, especially in close games. Just seeing they turn the ball over, other team gets a bucket, game over. We see that a lot. Saw that just the other year in the Bucks-Suns series. But my teams that I have, they're probably not necessarily sleepers. The Heat are the 7th seed right now, but are 7-3 in their last 10 games. And a player I wanted to really shout out and give props to is Jimmy Butler. He was kind of having a slow year for his aspect, but he's picked it up his last 10. He has 27, 7, and 6 with just a little over 1.5 steals, which is just unreal. Yeah, that's insane. Especially with Bam Adebayo on his team and Tyler Hero, guys who can both, they can both score. Bam's not known for being a scorer, but he can score. Just to put up those stats is just crazy. He's really taking over. And then the 76ers, his stats may not sound crazy, but he's stepping into a bigger role at all points. Tyrese Maxey, Sixers are 9-1 in their last 10 games, and Maxey is averaging 21, 3 and 3, which is just as basically a third option. Is crazy. He's kind of becoming the second scoring option.
I really like Maxey. He's stepped into that third role, and how they have three players almost averaging 20, or I don't know what James is averaging right now, but I think Tyrese is on the cusp of, if not on 20 points per game. But the fact that Joel Embiid could drop a 28-point game like just so effortlessly, and Tyrese Maxey drops a 20, James Harden gets 15 and 10 every game is very, very crazy. I think Maxey has really stepped up when they needed him. So, all right, moving on. We have a good segment coming up, and it's called Frauds or Not. We're basically gonna just go along the whole entire long line of the standings. We're gonna tell one of each other if they're gonna be frauds or not in the playoffs. So we're just gonna go through 1 through 10 right now, since we'll just do current. So what do you think with the Bucks?
I think Bucks are not frauds.
Yeah.
They're gonna go deep.
They'll be fine.
They're very good. They also have a star to rely on. If he's not playing well, they got Drew Holiday. He's not playing well, they got Brook Lopez. They've got Chris Middleton, and they've been there. They're gonna do great. They're not frauds.
How about the other 1 seed Nuggets?
Nuggets. I'd say some people would like to say that they're frauds, and they want to say Jokic isn't a winner, but they're still one of the best teams in the NBA, and I think Jokic is a winner, and he's going to prove that. They're not frauds.
Yeah, I think those two teams are. I mean, they're obviously the first seed. They obviously deserve some recognition. They're playing good basketball. I think they're not frauds. Let's go with the two seeds, the Celtics and Memphis.
Celtics, for me, they're not frauds. I mean, they made the championship last year. Nobody else could say that, obviously. They were almost champions if Steph Curry wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Celtics are going to make a deep run. I could see them getting to the championship even. If not, I'd say minimum conference finals.
Yeah. What about Memphis?
Memphis, for me, Memphis could be a team to look at as a fraud. We haven't seen them win yet. They obviously got eliminated last year by the Warriors, and they had a lot of trouble with the Timberwolves in the first round.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks, I think, might cost them a game or two with his technical fouls. I mean, he's just he can't contain himself. He's just he can't stop himself. I think he's the most techs in the league right now.
Yeah. He's a menace.
Yeah, he's just the biggest menace. And they can't control themselves. They have a lot of stuff going on.
Team's a menace.
Yeah, they have so much going on off the court. I don't think they're ready for playoffs.
I completely agree. I think I wouldn't say Memphis is frauds, but I think their players are frauds.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Brooks, I like Ja, but if he keeps up these antics off the court, he's a fraud. But I think they're fine. They'll probably get out of the first round. They're a good team if they are,
Did you
in there in the head.
Did you see the picture of him at that surfaced of him at the club?
Yeah, with the gun.
No, with there was a picture that came out with money just all over the floor.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He was just laying there naked, literally just it was
That's
crazy.
Funny. All right, enough of Ja.
Yeah.
We'll go with the third seeds, the Kings and the 76ers right now.
Kings and 76ers. I know you don't. You're not high on the Kings, but I love De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And I think they just have a lot of other scorers, a lot of other guys that can do stuff. So I think that they're not necessarily frauds, but they are going to have a tough first round matchup. So, and the 76ers, they're great as well. Another team I could see maybe even making a finals push. Obviously, Embiid has been there for years now. He's been up there. Maybe this could be his year. I don't know. I don't think so, but they're definitely going to be tough. They're not frauds.
Yeah. So my take on the Kings, I think seeing so much of Delantis over the past 5 years, it just, I don't know. I feel like he can really be inconsistent. And if he's not playing good, it's pretty bad. Knowing from the Pacers days. So I think they're frauds. It depends on who they play in the first round. If they're playing like the Warriors or the Mavs, it's gonna be, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Yeah. Or even if the Clippers have Paul George, that's a good matchup too. But yeah, the 76ers, they're fine. All right, so the Cavs and the Suns at the 4th seed. What do you think?
Cavs are young, which is scary in the playoffs when you don't have the only guy on your team that has experience just happens to be their best player, which is a good thing. And Donovan's known for being a great playoff player. I don't think that they're frauds, but they might not go super far because they're gonna get that 1-2 I guess the 1 seed matchup after the first round, and it's gonna be tough. They're not gonna be able to stop the Bucks. Giannis, nobody can stop him, and it's gonna be a tough loss for him, I think. But they're not frauds, but they're not gonna go super far. The Suns, again, made the championship the other year, almost won it, should have won it. Chris Paul is really bad, up 2-0 for some reason. But they're great. Kevin Durant plays, they could be obviously a championship team. Without Kevin Durant, I don't know if I'm so sure about them.
Yeah. I think with the West, it's just so competitive. I could see the Suns making another championship run. And I'm being so serious just because Kevin Durant has so much experience and how good he is. He's probably one of the best players I've ever watched, other than like LeBron and, some Kobe in our days.
Yeah.
And the Cavs, I mean, they're a good team, but I just feel like they're not ready. I think they probably do make it out of the first round if they play the Knicks or the Nets. I think they still take that series, but they are not stopping Giannis whatsoever. All right, so the 5th and the Clippers and the Knicks. What do you think?
I'd say, Clippers, if they have Paul George, they're going to be a really tough first round matchup for the 4 seed. If they were the 5 seed, of course. Full strength, Clippers are a sleeper championship run kind of team. But Paul George, really bad in the playoffs. We'll have to see that. Which is weird because when he was with the Pacers, I don't think he was bad in the playoffs. He was good. But, he got playoff P nickname. We'll have to see there. I think they could be a sleeper. Like they're not a fraud by any means. Of course, it's the lower seed. They're gonna exceed expectations probably, no matter what happens. And the Knicks are they're fine. They're the 5 seed in the East, so there's not a ton of competition there. I'd say they could be a fraud type team. They could be a team that gets swept. Julius Randle is probably the most inconsistent player I've ever seen. Jalen Brunson's had some struggles being healthy lately, but if Jalen's healthy, it could make a difference. It could take a load off of Randle and make him less stressed out, but I don't know. They could be a fraud.
I completely agree. I think the Knicks are very up in the air. If Julius is playing like he's been playing the last couple games, like he's dropping 50, the last whatever that when it was like 3 days ago or something like that. If he plays like that, I mean, it could be a series, but I don't think they're making it past the first round. I'm not a big fan of the Knicks. I just don't think they're that good. So I would say they're frauds. It just depends on who they play, but I don't think they're making it past the first round. And with the Clippers, I don't really know. I mean, if Paul George plays, if he's fine by then, they'll probably be fine. They're a good team. They have a new point guard in Russell Westbrook. We know what Russell's capable of and what he's not capable of, but I think they're fine. So Warriors or Nets at the 6th.
Warriors, not going to be a fraud. They're amazing. The roster up and down is kind of crazy. Like, they look like one of the best teams in the league, for sure. They're not going to be frauds. Nets, they could be frauds. I don't know. It's a new Nets team. Obviously, Mikal, has never been in that number one spot role like in the playoffs. We've never seen that. Spencer Dinwiddie, the second option. I guess he was the second option for Luka for a while, but Jalen Brunson kind of outshined him last year. We also got guys like Cam Johnson that could step up, and Nicholas Claxton. I don't think he's gonna do well in the playoffs. He's one of the strangest players that I've seen. So I don't know. The Nets could be good. They could exceed expectations, but I think the expectations are low for them.
Yeah, I as much as I like the Nets, I don't think they're all there, to be honest. I don't think they will make it out of the first round. I like them a lot, but I wouldn't say they're frauds. I just don't think they're good enough. And the Warriors, they're the Warriors. I mean, they're a good team. They have Stephen Curry on the team, so they're fine. Yeah, they're fine. 7th seed, Heat and Timberwolves. What do you think?
The Heat and Timberwolves, Heat could be a scary 7th seed if they stay there. I don't know if they're going to bump up to that 6th seed and not have to play in the play-in tournament, but if they stay there, Jimmy Butler taking his team to the championship before, like, I don't think he's going to do it again, but they're not going to be frauds by any means for the 7th seed. They're going to give that 2 seed a lot of trouble, and I think the 2 seed would be scared to play them. The Timberwolves, they put up a fight against Memphis last year. A rematch, that would be really fun. That would be fun to watch because I don't think the Timberwolves would go away, and I think that it would be a great series. So Timberwolves will probably exceed expectations as well. I don't think they're frauds.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know about Heat. I do think they do take that 7th seed, but I don't think they're making it past the first round. If they do play like the Sixers or the Celtics, I just don't see them taking more than 2 games. The Timberwolves, as much as I like them, same thing as the Nets, I just don't think they're there. I don't think they're ready. If Cat can stay healthy and he's playing good, and if Ant keeps taking that step forward, they could shock some people, but I mean, it'll be a good matchup if it's Memphis versus the Timberwolves. We'll have to see. Thunder and Hawks, what do you think?
Thunder and Hawks are 2 teams that I don't think are going anywhere. And for an 8 seed, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're frauds, but they're just kind of set up for failure. I think everyone's going to expect them to get smoked, and they will probably get smoked. I think the Thunder could take a game. They're very young, so it's very debatable. They may go out there and just look like a mess. But Shea has actually been in the playoffs before. I don't know if you remember, the Thunder were really good a couple years ago with Chris Paul. So Shea's been there. It's not like it's his first time.
But he might have been there when he was on the Clippers too.
Yeah, I think he probably was. Yeah.
Did you touch on the Hawks or?
Yeah. I mean, the Hawks aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not. They're frauds, but not really because it's an 8 seed. So.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think either team are frauds, but I could see the Hawks just really blowing it if they get the chance to get into the 8th seed or they take the 8th seed. I don't think they're that good of a team. The Thunder, as much as I like them, I keep saying this, but I just don't think they're there, and I don't think they're experienced. They're too young. But I could see like Shea just going crazy in the playoffs, but I don't think it's enough. They would have to have a lot of players to chip in and help it win. All right, so the Mavs and the Raptors. What do you think?
The Mavs and the Raptors. The Mavs could make a deep playoff run. They're going to exceed expectations. They are not frauds. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have struggled together early. Like early signs, they don't really gel crazy well together. But as far as the Raptors go, they're not. They're gonna be frauds. They haven't had a great season. Their team it looks good on paper, but like they're just lacking a lot of small things. They're just not there.
I think it's the same thing with like the Knicks. I think they lack a lot of consistency, especially with like Pascal Siakam. I think he's a good player when he's playing good and if he's shooting well. but I don't think he's getting past the first round or even as the play-in. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he can carry the team. Fred, he's playing good. I mean, we know what Fred can do, but I don't think he can carry the team either. The Mavs, I think they're fine. They're gonna make a deep playoff push. It's gonna be a lot of fun watching them in the playoffs. They're gonna gel together at some point. Especially with Luka. Luka can play at any kind of pace he wants, and he can just dominate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the last seed, the 10th seed, we'll go with them. The Bulls and the Lakers.
Again, like we said, I don't think the Lakers will necessarily be that 10 seed, and the Bulls will probably be there. But the Bulls are just having a bad year, and it's been that way for a minute now. Like they're just not. That roster's not going to win them what they want, and they're going to have to make changes. And I think after this, they're gonna blow up their team.
Yeah.
So they're frauds. They're not going to make it far. They're not going to make it through the first game. The Lakers, on the other hand, could be the opposite story because their roster obviously has the potential. I mean, they have 2 stars that won a championship together, and fully healthy with D'Lo. Like a new D'Lo, Jared Vanderbilt, a new team basically with Austin Reeves playing well. This team could do a lot of damage, especially if they end up as that 8 seed. Like no 1 seed wants to play LeBron James in the first round.
Yeah,
and that's
I think my opinion on the Bulls is I think they are frauds. If they, like you said earlier, they're 2 different teams. Like they can play really good or they're playing really bad. Damian or Donovan? One of them dropped 70 on
both
Bulls.
of them did. Oh, on the Bulls specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
One of them dropped 70 on the Bulls.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, their defense is just horrific, especially in the paint when you have Nikola Vucevic down there. So if they have any team with a great big or a great explosive guard that they're playing first round, they're gonna get crapped on. No doubt about it. I think they're frauds. The Lakers, they're not frauds, but I do see them, making it past the first round or making it past the play-in. I think they're a good team, especially if they're healthy. And LeBron's going to come back, so we know what LeBron can do. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, that pretty much sums up our episode for today. We appreciate all our listeners. Follow us on TikTok. Search up J_J_podcast.
Yeah.
That's where you can find us. We're going to be posting on YouTube. We're going to try and get our podcast up on Spotify. But a lot of our clips are going to be on TikTok. So thank you guys for listening.